I'm Mitchell Kaminsky,
I'm Patrick Cushman.
and you're listening to Penske Material.
You are aware that Penske is interested in me.
It's showtime! Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing today, boys!
Yeah! Nice advantage, Martin.
Swear to God, we look like a big bunch of wankers every week.
Kyle Busch is an ass.
You're not Penske Material.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to the first episode of Penske Material, a NASCAR podcast covering all things NASCAR related. And we'll start. Patrick, who's your driver? Why do you root for him? And a little bit about yourself.
Yep. As Mitchell said, my name is Patrick Cushman. I am a Brad Keselowski fan, as you can see behind me if you're watching via video. If not, I have a ton of Brad Keselowski stuff and a Joseph Newgarden thing behind me. I'm the Penske fan of Penske Material. Of course, the Penske Material derives from a Seinfeld episode, of which you may not understand. But
if you understand the reference, then you'll love this podcast.
Yes, if you understand and so I'm a big IndyCar fan, so we'll delve into some of that too in shorter segments. We'll even talk maybe some F1 if a big story arises, but mostly a NASCAR fan. And now I'm a number 6 fan. I have a bunch of number 2 stuff though from his years. My dad's friend actually worked for Miller Lite when they were still the Blue Deuce. Brad's a Midwestern guy, got a lot of, Midwestern kind of way about him that I just really like. He's not, a good old Southern boy like Chase Elliott. He's, Michigan born and bred kind of guy, which I like.
Yeah.
So that's about it. I'm a student at Southern Illinois University. So we're pretty big race fans down here.
Let's get this out of the way first. I know Chase Elliott, most popular driver, and I respect his talent. I'm not going to say he's that talented. He's won a championship for a reason. Mind you, it's the COVID year, but Dawsonville Poolhouse sucks. I think the Chase Elliott fans are the Chicago Cubs fans of NASCAR. A bunch of, let's be honest, they're kind of losers. Every stereotype you have, but NASCAR fan, we tend to see Chase Elliott fans. So, and you think, you hear about the historic Dawsonville Poolhouse. Thought it would be like some cool bar or something. It wasn't. It was just like a couple old guys eating hot dogs on a table, and then they ring that stupid siren. They can't even pronounce siren right. So I got nothing against Chase per se. I just can't stand his fans. So we're an anti-Chase Elliott podcast.
I don't understand why he's so popular either. I know his dad was popular, which kind of seems like to trickle down. Like Dale was popular, Dale Jr. was popular, Bill is popular, now Chase is popular. But Chase probably has the personality of this bull. So I don't understand it, but I'm excited to start this podcast with you. I know I've been a guest on some of your other projects before. I've done even some NASCAR commentary on a smaller side. So I'm glad we're able to expand it and to make it a full-time project, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I am one of Daniel's amigos. I am root for the 99 car of Trackhouse Daniel Suarez. I also like Brad. First race I went to is at Road America. We both we were wearing the Deuce shirts, but I kind of like Suarez. It's 4th of July, and they're doing the driver intros or whatever. And I thought it'd be funny just because I'm a contrarian. Yeah, I root for the guy from Mexico to win on America's birthday. And when he was going around, I was cheering for him, and some guy threw a beer at me, and I thought that was kind of funny. So I've been rooting for Daniel Suarez ever since, and he's having a pretty good year too. Trackhouse has got some speed, really good feel-good story. He's a nice guy too. What's not to like? So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well. But also like a little bit of IndyCar. Scott McLaughlin's my guy. I know you're a Newgarden guy, so we got 2 Penske cars there. And yeah, that makes up Penske Material. To the listeners at home, we apologize. Patrick's Zoom, it looks like he's in a hostage video. He's alive and well. He's fine.
I'm just in Southern Illinois.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get right into it. We had a great race at Watkins Glen, and there's been a lot of road races this year. We've been to 2 of them. We went to the one in Road America and the one in the Indy Road Course. I think this one was by far the best of the bunch that we've seen, and I think this is what NASCAR wanted when they put all these road courses on the schedule. Was races like this. We'll go straight to the end. Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, teammates, they get into it. Larson or Elliott chooses the outside lane. Larson kind of runs him up the track, takes the lead, and does not relinquish it. And there was a lot of complaining from Chase Elliott. He was whining afterwards. Pat, I'll let you get into it first. Fair or foul? Chase Elliott, does he have a gripe?
I mean, yeah, of course, contact being made. Larson did have the advantage going into the corner, which if we're using F1 or road course rules, if you get into the corner first, it's your line. But Chase Elliott does have a reason to be upset. That being said, I would have totally understood. I totally understand what Kyle Larson was doing. This is racing. This is NASCAR racing. If you don't like the rubbing and the bumping, watch something else. This isn't that kind of motorsport. So I thought, that's completely fine. He didn't wreck him. They barely even made contact. They were just racing hard at the end for a win. So in my move, completely clean. Understand why Chase is upset, though.
See, I don't think he really has a gripe. First off, I mean, he just won he locked up the regular season championship. He's far ahead in the points by a lot. And I get you want to win. Like NASCAR races, they're hard to come by, but he opened up himself. He opened it up by choosing the outside lane. I mean, you're going to put yourself in that position. Larson, he's trying to win a race. I thought it was just good, clean racing. I mean, was it hard racing against a teammate? Yeah, but I think a lot of these teams, I was listening to Parker Kligerman earlier this week talking about it, that a lot of these teams like Penske and Hendrick, the rule is you can race your teammates as hard as you want, just don't wreck them. And he didn't wreck them. So, I think if he wants to complain about that, he shouldn't have taken the outside lane. And so I don't know why. Also, like Larson, I mean, he had a lot of apologizing. I think if he was more to blame in the Fontana incident. Like that one, Chase Elliott had a legitimate beat where he took him through wide and didn't see him there. But like that one, the Chase Elliott was by far and away the fastest car in the field. So the only way that Larson was gonna get that win is by running him high there off the restart, and that's what he did. So I mean, I didn't see any problem with it, and I thought, came across a little soft. And reading lips too, he was talking to Rick Hendrick and Jeff Gordon. He was saying, "I'm done. I'm done." So do you think that team meeting that happened? They probably had a competition meeting earlier today. We're recording this on a Wednesday night or Tuesday, I would assume. Do you think this is going to affect them moving forward, or is this whole beef overblown?
No, I think it's going to blow over. It's good to have these sorts of competitions within a team as long as they don't boil over. That means you're winning. I think a lot of teams would like to have that problem. But, the emotions are running high on that Sunday. But I think they've cooled down. Chase seems to be a pretty laid back kind of guy. So I think, you talk about it, you have a day to process it and you move on. And I think it's not going to boil over because they have two very laid back personalities.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's why it was so surprising to see him like fuming after the race. I mean, the answers he was given was very short. And it was like, oh, congratulations to Kyle. The boss deserves all the wins. Very like, took the political route. But there was a video of him like watching the post race right before his like media availability, and you can see like the smoke coming out of his ears. So it was kind of surprising to see him that upset. Moving forward, though, I mean, we've seen Elliott run really well on the road course. He obviously locked up the regular season championship. Larson that was a big win for him. He swept the weekend, also won the Xfinity race too. Between the two, who would you have as your favorite moving forward into the playoffs?
I think Chase. Chase Elliott has been, wrapped up the regular season championship. Obviously has been the best driver, has won at all kinds of tracks, except for a road course, which is pretty surprising. But he's shown that he is very capable at road courses. He's one of the best road course racers on the grid. Has won at different kinds of tracks. Stole a win from Denny Hamlin a few weeks back, and he went on a very good streak over the summer. Will he be able to transfer it in? I think so. I think, him and his team have had speed week after week, even when he's not in contention for a win. When they just seem to not have that winning car, they're still racking up top 10s and top 5s. And that's the sort of consistency that wins you championships.
Speaking of which, I know Kevin Harvick won the 2 races in a row. People had him as a dark horse contender. All of a sudden, he became like the flavor of the month. Everyone wanted to put him in the is a title contender. Do you see Kevin Harvick being able to compete with them, or do you think Hendrick's is too much speed?
No, I just they haven't had enough speed all year. And these playoff battles, especially as you get into the round of 12, round of 8, you need to be notching top fives and competing for wins. And that team really hasn't. The exception of the 2-race win streak that they had. It's Kevin Harvick, though. He can win. He's very talented. He could win at every stage, but I just don't see him as a championship contender.
Going back to the race this weekend itself, I thought it was really cool. That opening stage was one of the best first stages, just pure racing that I think I've seen all year. I thought it was really entertaining. The strategy, whether to go to the slicks or not, and we saw Chase Briscoe paid off for him. Michael McDowell shot off to an early lead, but all the racing in general I thought was really cool. I really liked the strategy element. I thought a NASCAR did a really good job of kind of holding and delaying the race an hour, because like they can race in the rain. That doesn't mean you should. And I think the amount of time they waited for the track to dry really made it intriguing. Also, shout out AJ Allmendinger finishing second. I think you could argue best road course racer in NASCAR in general, either series. But yeah, I guess your impressions from Watkins Glen. Do you think best stage of the year? Yes or no? You think?
It's tough. I don't have every stage
Yeah,
memorized as much as you may do, Mitchell, but it was a good one. And I'm not a big road course fan. I think they have probably one or two too many. But Watkins Glen needs to stay. It's having a road course sometimes in the schedule is like a refresher. It's like, oh, it's something new. It's not. It's like a wild card. And I like how road courses fit in the schedule that way. And Watkins Glen is perfect for that. And it was a very good race, competitive, lots of passing, lots of different strategy, all things that you mentioned. So it was exciting. And I think, too, this track is more meant for stock cars. There's not a lot of, like at Indy, that turn 1 is really hard for those cars to make, especially when they're beaten bang. And we've seen that. This one, though, even going into turn 1, which is a 90-degree turn, there's plenty of runoff room for them to, race, bang, but still just not run each other over. And then the action within the bus stop, and then going around the carousel, there's like opportunities everywhere to make up time, to make passes. Along that, it's one of the best fan experiences from what I've heard. Apparently they were sold out. Tough to see because it rained. So that probably hurt the crowd a little bit. But from what I've heard, it's one of the most beautiful areas of the country. Just a good fan experience, good racetrack, good racing, perfect weekend for NASCAR.
One of the reasons I think this race was so popular too is we had all the international drivers coming in, and none bigger than 2007 F1 champion Kimi Raikkonen, and we also had Rockefeller, who's a 24-hour Le Mans winner, and then Caveat, who's also drives for Formula One. Kimi, I thought he actually had a really good run. I thought it was impressive. You didn't want him to come in there and embarrass everyone, because the general consensus is, oh, Formula One is the best drivers in the world. It's like, well, no, I think they're just the best drivers that made it to Formula One. Obviously, completely different style of racing, but you had a lot of new fans tuning into this one. I thought they saw a great race for it. But if you had to grade Kimi's debut, what would you grade it as? And I'll go first here. I thought he was running really well. He ran in the top 10 for a little bit. Now, mind you, that was because of pit strategy and whatnot. But even the opening stage, he was moving up in the field a lot. He had some 2 bad pit stops, but the pit strategy they were going with, I think, was very similar to Austin Cindric's. And Cindric finished top 15. The way Kimi was running, they had a fast car. I think it was reasonable if they finished the race, would have been 13th. Now, obviously, the difference is between F1 and NASCAR. You can be as fast as you want, but there's contact here. It's not like, oh, it was my line. No, you can't make contact with the tires. It's kind of a wake-up call when you're going through the first restart and you're getting doored by guys. And I think he was a victim of Ross Chastain this week, although I don't really blame that one as much on Chastain. It's more of his reputation. But, unfortunately, he spun out. So I give him a C+. I thought he ran really well. Be interesting to see him again. But I think had he have not gotten wrecked, he would have finished top 15.
It's hard to grade someone high when they finish second to last with only half the laps run.
That's fair.
He was running well, but in anything in life, you can't just do it halfway and expect a good grade. If I did half of a class, I did really good the first half of the class, but I missed every assignment and every test past the halfway point, I'd still get an F. I'm gonna give him a C minus, just because he did show speed. Obviously, it's his first Cup action. The wreck wasn't really his fault. I don't think he really could have avoided it. Maybe he could have kept it off the wall. It's hard to say. I don't think he could have though. But yeah, it's tough to say because he didn't run the second half of the race. It's easy to be good in stage one, but the money's paid at the end of the race, not the beginning.
This is true. It was cool though seeing him racing Chase Elliott beginning second stage. You had the 2020 NASCAR champ versus 2007 Formula World champion. And I thought that was a neat little battle there too. And he didn't really give him any space. He made him work for it, which I appreciate. Obviously, he eventually did get past.
Yeah. He did race the guys fair, hard but fair. I remember it was him, Elliott, and Christopher Buescher, and he held his own. I think he even held off Christopher Buescher for a while too. Elliott got past him, but
right.
These Trackhouse cars, they didn't have a ton of speed. Really, I think all three drivers didn't have that good of a finish.
Well, Suarez was top 5. He finished 5, I think.
Oh, Ross Chastain finished outside of.
He had a tough.
Yeah, I forget. Suarez did have a top 5. So I don't think they ever had race-winning speed, but it was it was really good for NASCAR to branch out, get different guys, even guys like the Rockenfeller. It's good for the sport. Reach out, get some road course ringers. Hopefully they can get road course ringers and good equipment like they did with Kimi. The 77, really not so good. The team Hesselberg, they're running 2 different manufacturers. They don't know what they're doing. They have cars.
Brutal.
So Kvyat really can't do anything in that thing. So
we saw him at Indy, and he missed turn 1, so he had to go onto the oval, and the car just stalled out, and he was stuck there because they couldn't come get him. It was the middle of the race, so he was just sitting in his car for I think it was
his brakes went out.
He was just stuck there, and they're like, we'll leave him. So they just had this Russian stuck on the track, which I thought was funny. It's interesting. I think this was really good, especially you get the Formula One fan base in there. Although, the way NASCAR is going, we'll take here. One, I think great for the sport in general. You're getting these guys in here. Formula One, you really can't do anything like that. Like they're not going to have a Project 91. Toto isn't, adding a separate car. It's just too hard. So none of these other drivers can break in there. But I think this is only going to help NASCAR. And I think you get 3 to 5 years. Formula One, they need to try something like this. I think it'd be cool, but they won't because
Formula One, they really only do full season entries.
Yeah, it definitely won't. It won't happen. But I think this is good for NASCAR. Who would you have? I don't think Kimi. This is his personality and what it took for Marks to get him out of retirement for it. It was a lot of convincing because initially they wanted him to run every road course. He was going to run Road America, was going to be his first one, and he's like, no, I'm only doing one because he was pretty committed to his retirement. And he's a pretty reserved personality. I mean, you've seen his interviews when he was doing Formula One. It's a whole lot of one-word answers. Although surprisingly, I thought he was actually pretty engaging this week. But I don't think he's coming back, even though he said he had fun. I think that was just kind of, he had his time. He's not doing it. Who do you think next Project 91 driver? Who would you like to see? The 91.
I like to see who do I realistically could see.
Who do you want to see first, and who do you realistically see second?
I would love to see Lewis Hamilton.
Oh yeah,
but I want to see one of these guys do an oval. So I don't want the road course. Yeah, it's kind of like a medium between because yes, it's on a road course, but it's in a stock car, so it's kind of meeting in the middle. I want to see one of these guys do an oval. Maybe not at Talladega or Daytona because they'll wreck the entire field.
I was gonna say,
but watching them do, let's say, the Coke 600, probably too big of a race to start off in. But maybe Kansas, a mile and a half, or they could even do Martinsville and get beaten, spun around, and that'd be pretty exciting. I don't think anyone will ever do that.
Happen, I think could. He's kind of
Uh,
like Ross Chastain of F1. He's the only one that'll go hard into a corner or make contact with guys. I think he could. I think he could very
and Kimi did when he was on his sabbatical from F1. He did do
well. Trucks, I
ovals
think.
with the trucks and Xfinity series. He did pretty well in the trucks, finished on the lead lap. I think he finished like 15th. Xfinity, I think he hit the wall a few times, went a couple laps down, but I think he ran most of the laps. But I think it would be pretty cool. Realistically, though, I'd love to see maybe an IndyCar guy like maybe a Scott Dixon or Joseph Newgarden try it out. I think that would be cool.
There's a bunch of them
Or like
lined
a Helio Castro Neves too. Helio Castro Neves in the Daytona 500. I would love to see that.
I think it was Marcus Erickson on Twitter. There's a couple IndyCar guys on Twitter that they were asking, like, "Oh, who's gonna be the next Project 91?" And they're like, "Sign me up! Like, I want to try it." So I
Yeah.
think that would be pretty cool.
Helio Castro Neves is four-time IndyCar champion, or Indy 500 champion. Seeing him at Daytona would be pretty cool.
That is the nice thing about these next gen cars is I think it now makes it a lot easier because it's more like a lot of these like sports cars that a lot of these guys, especially in Europe, have driven before. So it makes the transition a lot easier. All right, let's go to this. Kyle Busch doesn't have a ride next year. He was asked about it, and he said, "Look, not a lot of people are probably going to feel bad for me, because he's got certain needs he has right now. He wants to watch his son race, and he has a private jet and all that. And I'll be honest, I don't really feel all that bad for him. I think he's gonna. You listen, does he deserve to get paid? Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best. He's great for the sport. He's one of the best, arguably the best drivers of all in NASCAR history. Yes, Kimi has the most wins in NASCAR history if we're including his truck race, but I don't think that math adds up.
Well,
But
it's
either way,
101 Xfinity race wins too.
yeah. So, I mean, obviously he's a talent, and you need good drivers to build your organization around. But if I'm Joe Gibbs, you got Tide running really well, who's going to be fraction of the cost. You see the way Kyle's racing this year. He's got one win, and it's one that he, quite frankly, backdoored his way into. He really shouldn't have won that race. Two guys wrecked in front of him, and he's able to backdoor his way into it. If you take that race away, he would not be in the playoffs right now. So, I think it's hard to justify paying him all that, especially when you can't find a sponsor for him, and it's going to be tough. The last couple of years, he doesn't have the best personality, and said the R word in an interview, and he's had his issues. So, would you pay your Joe Gibbs right now? You giving your grandson the ride, or are you coughing up the money for Kyle because he is one of the best talents in the sport? You're gonna win races.
As far as from what I've heard in the last few days, apparently the chances that Kyle Busch returns to Joe Gibbs Racing is closer to 0 than it is to even 50%. Apparently they're not even on speaking terms. And just the sponsorship. They had, Oracle lined up from reports. That's what they're saying. They had Oracle lined up. Oracle backed out. It's almost like it seems like that the JGR side's kind of just given up on it. They're content with him moving on. I know the initial plan was to have Ty run one more season of the Xfinity series. But the way that he's run, it's hard to justify him keeping in the lower series. Especially he does bring Monster Energy to the table. He is an up and coming star, very clean cut. He's already, got the interviews down. Maybe a church could sponsor him or something like that. But he can bring sponsors in. He's young, like you said, he's cheap. So it's kind of hard to, want Kyle to come in. The one reason why you would keep Kyle in is because of his trucks team. Because he does have a pretty good trucks program. But Toyota already has, I think, 2 other flagship teams. Well, one other big one in Thor Sport, which is a pretty good Toyota team. And so it'd be tough to see KBM leave, but they could open up another Xfinity team and be perfectly fine, right? They could reopen the 20 team back up.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of coming to terms saying, we would rather lose, 3 or 4 trucks, and we can open, because quite frankly, the Toyota pipeline is so big and they only have the 6 spots. And Hamlin's locked in for a pretty long time. Bubba Wallace is. then Tyler Reddick coming in. So there's no reason for 8 guys in the waiting for a few spots. So I think they've come to terms with it. And so I think they're done. And quite frankly, this could have been written on the wall for a while now, especially with no sponsor.
Yeah, it's too bad because when you picture Kyle Busch, no matter even if you hate him, one, like I said, the sport needs more Kyle Bushes just because you need the Yankees to root against. But it's gonna be hard to see him not in the 18 car because you kind of just picture like Kyle Busch and the 18 are kind of synonymous together. But I agree with you. I think you've heard him on the radio multiple times this year complaining that we are the slowest JGR car right now. And so, I think it's kind of beyond repair at this point. There was the one like icy exchange they had where Joe Gibbs went up to congratulate him and just stared straight ahead, like ignored him. So yeah, I think like you said, out of speaking terms, I see him gone. I think there's 2 teams that that would be in the running if I had to pick between the 2. Although there's cons to both. I think number 1 would be 2311 because you got the year where they're probably going to have a seat open, especially with Kurt's health problems. You don't know if that seat's going to be open or not next year. Maybe they try and add a third charger, but he stays in the Toyota. He's going to get competitive equipment, which I know is important to him. He says winning's the most important thing to him right now. And like I said, he's got that trucks team, so he stays in the Toyota racing family. That'd be one. Drawback would be you got Tyler Reddick coming in. It would have to be a 1-year deal. I don't know if he's going to take a short-term deal. And I don't know. It all depends what Kurt's going to do, too, if they even have a seat open. The other one that I could see working maybe, but also, equipment-wise might be a problem is Kauling. I think you saw the owner of Kauling coming up to him, and they were having a conversation. They seemed to get really friendly. They got a seat open. I think they would spend a bunch of money for him. I think Gibbs, or not Gibbs, Busch would be kind of running the show there. He'd be able to call a lot of his own shots, kind of like what he is now. Now, the equipment wouldn't be as good. And he says winning's important to him. I know he wants to be top the all-time wins list for NASCAR, so kind of be of an uphill climb. But he's still in his prime. He's got a lot of time to go, so I think that one could make sense too. Otherwise, like I really don't see many other teams. Maybe Stewart Haas, but I still don't think that all that likely front runners.
That avenue was open, but I just honestly, I don't know why SHR, they had Kyle Larson in their hands. Ford told them that they weren't allowed to do it, so they lost Kyle Larson. And they seem to be sticking with Cole Custer. I understand that his dad's the president of Haas Automation, but Kyle Busch or Cole Custer, I don't care who your dad is. I'm taking KB all day.
Yeah.
But like you said, Kaulig too, and Kaulig has expressed interest in maybe starting a trucks team. There you go. Besides, and with GMS possibly leaving the truck series and focusing on their cup efforts more, Chevy won't have that flagship team for trucks, where KBM could move right into it. And so this it's looking more and more like Kaulig every day. Like you said, the equipment's not as good. But I think if you get a guy like Kyle Busch, he brings in a lot more experience and resources too. I think a lot of guys would look at Kaulig and be like, hey, they made this move from being to become a big Xfinity team to now a budding cup team. You had a guy like KB, you had a lot of reputation and a lot of recognition to that team. And that could be the push that pushes them over the top to start winning some races. And they do have some speed at road course. It's not like they're running 30th or 35th.
Yeah,
they're running more mid-pack.
Every road course they run. The ovals, they have some problems, but you bring in a guy like Allmendinger gets the most out of his equipment, where they're consistently finishing top 10, top 5 every road course. Yeah, Kyle Busch, one of those cars for an oval with all what he brings to the table. I think he gets the most out of that car, and you see how talented he is. Now, are they going to be championship contenders right away? No, but you're adding some extra resources, like you said. I think he could easily be competitive for a couple of years.
And it's not like Justin Haley's running 35th every week. They're running more mid-pack, but Justin Haley is young, not that much experience, still kind of figuring out being a new team and all. And so I think it's less of a project than people think. It's not going to be top team like Penske, or Hendrick or Joe Gibbs, but they could potentially be a very good team, like thinking like a Trackhouse or kind of maybe not as good as that at start, but maybe like a Richard Childress where you can sneak in a win or two and run very well for a lot of the year, for a lot of the season.
Yeah, and I think Trackhouse, one of the reasons they were so successful is they took over an existing team.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kind of changed the culture out there, which I think really helped them. Where you got 23-11, they kind of had to start from the ground up. So you get a guy like Kyle Busch in there to an existing team, and you make a couple changes, get the right personnel in there. I almost think it'd be competitive. That would be my favorite. If I had to place a bet, I think Kauling makes the most sense. I have 23-11 second, but there's too many.
I don't see 23. I don't see how he goes to like their junior team. And like, why would you want to like get like kind of demoted as like a veteran like that? That's kind of just a weird dynamic for me that I just don't see happening.
Let's go to the final race of the season. I think it's one of the most anticipated. I mean, I think it's going to be more exciting than the 500 this year, which is all on the line. One playoff spot remaining. We got 15 winners, one spot open. Right now, Blaney, 26 points, I think, to the good. Truex behind him. So he's been very good at Daytona. He probably should have won his first year if his teammate didn't block him. So, Larson wants to complain. I mean, Blaney had a Daytona 500 route problem because hard racing. But neither here nor there. So I think he's got a chance. But you got a lot of other guys with a chance. Brad's been good at these super speedways. Busch has been good at Daytona. He was good at Daytona. Bubba Wallace. There's a lot of guys that could be up there. Austin Dillon. I mean, so it's kind of a wild card race, but who do you got winning? And do you think Blaney, I guess, keeps his playoff spot, or do we get a new winner?
It's so tough to say because you never know, because one of these guys could get, in one of the wrecks in like the middle of the race. You just don't know. Like you said, Brad looked good. He won the Daytona Duel and up front for much of the 500. But since then at Talladega and both Atlanta races wasn't too impressive. Eric Jones, he's a good super speedway. Eric Almirola has won at Daytona in the past. Even Ricky Stenhouse could win. Or Corey LaJoie could win. He ran really well at Atlanta.
Yeah.
So you never know. It's hard to predict. It's almost
Chase
impossible.
Him, by the way, he's going to complain about that. These things are blocking. Everyone's like, oh, it's clean racing. Larson runs with the track a little bit. That pissed me off so much. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it could be any one of those guys, or it could be Chase Elliott that wins. It could be, Joey Logano could win. I mean, you never know. I think a big advantage is having the blue oval on your car, though. The blue ovals ran very well at the 500 this year. Since then, Chevy has kind of closed the gap on the super speedways, especially Atlanta. But I think having a blue oval on the hood of your car will be very advantageous. Because as we saw in Daytona, I mean, the guys who were running up front, Brad, Blaney, Cindric, all guys in the Ford camp. So I think a Ford might have a bit of an advantage, but these things are crapshoots. Michael McDowell could even win, too. So you never know. We just don't know.
We don't. I'm going my two. I want Ryan Blaney to get it just because he deserves it. I think he's ran well all season. Which one of the reasons I like the new playoff system. I think it's made it a lot more exciting. We have some intrigue heading into the final race because of it, more than we would, I think, under the regular point system. But I'm actually going, if I had to pick someone, it is a wild card, I'm going Bubba Wallace, my pick to win. I think listening to him talk, he's got a lot of confidence. And when he's racing with confidence, that's like the game changer for him. He came into Michigan with confidence, and he ran really well, finished second there. So I think it's going to be the same thing. We know how good he is at these super speedways, too. I was worried a little bit that Kevin Harvick kind of crushed his confidence, but listen to him talk. I mean, I think he knows his shot.
Is it supposed to rain on Saturday? If it is, I'll pick Bubba too.
I am not sure. Yeah, there you can tell. I don't think so, but you never know. It is a wild card. You got to pick one. Who you betting on?
I gotta go for my boy, Brad Keselowski. I know they haven't had a lot of speed. Honestly, I don't think they're not points racing at this point. I don't think they're putting a lot of resources into the 6 car because the 17s outrun them. And I don't think like Chris Buescher is even close to being like so much more talented to where he's running better.
Right.
Brad did win a duel. He knows how to get it done at these super speedways. He's been in these winner you're out positions before. He's able to get it done. He's a veteran. He's a Cup Series champion. And I'm a fan of his, so I'm a little bit biased.
He
So
ran well in Atlanta too before his pit crew kind of screwed him over. Like once again, he fell back in the pack and got caught up in a wreck. But I think that's what I believe.
Yeah, he got caught up in the Denny Hamlin wreck.
Yeah.
And then because he was running like third in stage 2. But yeah, he can get it done. My second guy I'm gonna pick is Eric Almirola. I don't know. I'm liking the A train lately. He's been in the news. Maybe he's gonna come back, maybe not. He had a really good run at Richmond. And he's got a blue oval on the front. And he's won at Daytona before, so maybe he'll win too.
I'm excited to see who gets Chastained this week. He's had 7 incidents in the past 7 races, causing some sort of wreck. Although this week's, I think, was more just because of his reputation. That was a restart. I don't think that was as egregious as some of the other ones. All right, finally, wrap it up here. We're debuting this segment called That's a Wrap. I'm picking our favorite paint scheme from last week's. We'll have a Twitter poll. So check out the Dorm Room Dispute Twitter. We'll have a Penske Material Twitter soon up as well. But you can vote between the two, which one we like the best. All right, I'm going with the guy that got a lot of the attention this week. I'm going Kimi Raikkonen, 91 car. I thought it was pretty clean for first-time car. I thought it was a pretty sharp-looking car. I like the Trackhouse paint.
You're just picking him because you know the fans. Well, I know.
I think it was a sharp-looking car.
Sure you do. Yeah.
My second pick is going to be actually, and I mean, actually, this doesn't support my theory, I guess, the fan one. I really like the Kelly Blue Book car, the number 9 from Chase Elliott. That was going to be my second choice, but I'm going with the
your first 2 choices are the most popular driver and a former F1 champion.
Yes.
Yeah. I am going with Eric Almirola with his GoBowling.com Ford Mustang. It had bowling pins. It had bowling ball on it. It's the Go Bowling at the Glen. I forget what number they use. It's the Go Bowling at the Glen, and he had the GoBowling.com car. It was pretty clean. I don't know if you saw it. It wasn't up front that much.
On TV, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't on TV that much. But when I was looking through the paint schemes, it was either that or Ricky Stenhouse's Ballpark Hot Dogs Chevrolet Camaro. It had some hot dogs on it, kind of like the pinstripes for like the ballpark, I guess, labeling. It was pretty cool.
That is a sharp one. Yeah.
And Corey LaJoie's Reezer Energy was pretty cool. We saw it a few times when he was getting lapped on Sunday. Yeah. So he got some TV, maybe not for the best reasons, but
he was up front for a little bit, running top 10 during that pit recycle too a bit. So
yeah. Jimmy Johnson also led laps at the Indy 500.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, that's
the only people that don't know. Patrick was a varsity athlete in high school in bowling, so I think we're seeing a little bit of he got a Letterman's jacket for bowling. He went to state too, so you see some bias coming out here. Thank you guys so much for listening. That's all we got for you this week. Oh, Pat, you're at the IndyCar race this week. We'll do an IndyCar minute really quick.
Yep, I was at Gateway or Worldwide Technology Raceway. I actually got free tickets from my friend's mom who works from Worldwide Technology. Came in very last second. Very good tickets provided by them. So big thank you. Race was good. IndyCar oval racing is awesome. I love it. I wish they had more ovals. Kind of that 1 mile to 1 1/4 miles, like the perfect of like speed, but like also handling too. It was a great racetrack experience. Carvana had a big thing. I got a free Jimmy Johnson diecast.
That's pretty cool.
Which was pretty cool. And they also had simulators. too, where you could drive the Indy car on like Gateway. It was like a simulator, and that was also fun. Lots of sponsor outreach. Overall, it was a great race. Obviously, the rain disrupted it, but it was a good finish. IndyCar, it's coming down. There's five guys who can win it with 2 races left. It's going to be awesome. IndyCar's had a great year. Lots of great talent. Tune into it even if you've never watched it. It's great. I love it. Add more ovals though. That's my one thing for IndyCar.
I was pissed. My guy Scott McLaughlin had the win. I was doing a rain dance, and then of course IndyCar picked up and finished the race. So your guy, Joseph Garden, ends up taking it, which is honestly better for him because he's in the championship race anyway. So it worked out well. Thank you so much for listening. Penske Material is brought to you by Dorm Room Dispute. Make sure to follow us at Dorm Room Dispute on Twitter for all of the latest Penske Material content, including episode releases, videos, and more. Also, you can follow us on YouTube. Watch the full episodes, see clips, and more. Dorm Room Dispute on YouTube, or just search Penske Material. Thank you so much for listening.